In today's video, we'll be exploring 3 most luxurious neighborhoods in Valencia. If you're planning moving to Valencia or living here for some time, this video will be very useful for you. But hey, if you're just a tourist and want to see cool places in Valencia, don't turn off this video yet. I promise you'll see a lot of cool places and learn something new. So let's get started. So we are now in Ciutat Vella. It's how the old city center in Valencia is called. Many foreigners choose this place because of its proximity to all the shops, restaurants, cafes, clubs, bars. It has a great infrastructure and it's close to Park Turia. We are now in a smaller area called El Pilar. Here is basically where Valencian bourgeoisie lives. Apartments here have high ceilings and they're quite expensive. I thought this was a parking, like underground parking, but it's closed. Yeah, in the city center it is hard to park a car. Some newer apartments have underground parking, but there are only few buildings like that. You know, I mean, bourgeoisie, yes, bourgeoisie, it's cool, but it's a bit weird area because you're walking, everything is nice, and then you're just turning the next street and it's kind of like, whoa, what is this? And it's kind of dirty and there are weird people around. And then again you turn and you see beautiful building. Like for example, I was walking, nice church, everything is fine. Then suddenly, ta-da! What is this? Is it a city center? Am I out of the city center? What's going on? It's like there was a building, now there is no building, they left a wall. They didn't build anything here. It's not clean, and they didn't make like a small square over there. It's kind of chaotic. I get a feeling that it's a bit weird area. The funny thing is that the streets are quite dirty and there are weird, sketchy people around on some streets, okay? They will not talk to you or not do anything to you. They're fine, you're fine, but they're just are, and that's okay, all right? It's a big city. But what surprises me is that people pay a lot to live here because it's city center. And prices can be up to 2,000 euros and more. Of course, these apartments will come furnished, they will have a nice renovation done, a nice design, nice furnishings, but still, 2,000 to live in a noisy part, I definitely would say this is not ideal for those who are moving as a family with kids. Probably it's more for foreigners who are looking that hip vibe and want to be close to all the attractions, to all the cafes and the bars, because there is just a lot of that here. But it is noisy. In the evening, I would not say that it's that quiet. We are actually entering El Carmen area. El Carmen has the most bars and clubs and lots of graffiti. Okay, so what about prices? Living here is quite expensive. On average, I would say for 2-bedroom apartment, it would be 1600, something like that. Of course, you can pay more than that. We have a friend, she lives in the city center. I think it's one-bedroom apartment. She pays more than 2K, but it doesn't mean that all places are expensive here. You just need to do some apartment hunting, and you can find places for 1200, 1300, but it rarely goes down than that. I think that's like nowadays the lowest amount. When walking the streets, I've noticed a very cool store of handmade ceramic tiles. The owners of the store were actually originally from Ukraine, and they were doing their business for more than 20 years. They have orders not only locally across Spain, but also from California, Colorado, Florida, and even Australia. Now we are right in the center, in front of the cathedral, a very super hectic place, full of tourists, always very noisy. I was so thirsty from the heat that when I saw a stand with the famous Valencian drink horchata, I didn't think twice. So a quick break, let's try it. So first you dip farton in horchata, and then let's see how it is. It's a bit sweet. It's cold, very refreshing. Oh, I'm very thirsty. It has a bit soily, earthy taste to it. It's made of tiger nuts, and it's a typical Valencian drink. So what are the prices if you want to purchase an apartment in the city center? Well, it will be between 350,000 to 400,000 on average. Of course, you can find more than that. They will be fully furnished and quite modern and sleek. I enjoy walking here, looking at these old buildings, listening to the bell chimes and peeking into store windows. But living here, I don't know, it's not for my liking, but if you're into Spanish charm, like wooden beams, wooden shutters, small balconies, and like small old apartments, that's a place for you. We are now in Ruzafa, probably the trendiest neighborhood here in Valencia and very much loved by foreigners. You can compare it to Madrid's Malasaña or to London's Soho. The name Ruzafa comes from Arabic and means garden, and the neighborhood consisted of ornamental gardens for the Moors when they ruled Valencia. Now there are plenty of small art galleries, cool vintage shops, cafes, retro bars and restaurants, and beautiful architecture around. Back then, it was a working class and immigrant neighborhood with not so good reputation. But with time and gentrification, it has transformed into the hippest area of Valencia. So I was checking prices on Idealista online, and I saw some publishings of apartments that were between 1100 and 1200 euros for rent, but there were only few of them like that, and I think they are taken very fast because it's a very desirable area among expats. but it is a luxurious district to live in. So I would say the average price for rent for a two-bedroom apartment will be between 1,600 to 2,000 euros. If you want to purchase an apartment in this area, one and two bedroom apartments will start with 350,000 euros. But if you're looking for something more modern with nice furnishings, two bedroom and three bedroom apartments will be between 450,000 and 500,000 euros. Locals try to avoid living in this area because it became too expensive and too expaty. And you can hear a lot of English speaking people here on the streets. There is its own market here in Ruzafa. There is plenty of Mediterranean delicacies, like you can try their eggplant pate with chili or peppers stuffed with feta cheese, and it's also a great place where to buy local and fresh produce. There is a great selection of cafe bookshops where you can read a book while sipping a glass of wine like a true hipster. I decided to finish today's tour of Ruzafa in this beautiful park. As I mentioned before, the name Ruzafa comes from Arabic meaning garden, and recently this park was created here in the same place that a real Arabic garden was many centuries ago. This is my favorite area here in Valencia. It's called Penya-Roja and it's part of Camins al Grau neighborhood. When I saw this place for the first time, I came back home and I told my husband, one day we have to live here. It's modern, it's clean, it's sleek, it's close to Park Turia. You can have a beautiful view on Arts and Sciences complex and it's only 30-minute walk to the sea. It is not a big area, but it has everything that you need. Supermarkets, good schools, El Corte Inglés, nice open-air mall, very modern movie theater, park, and bunch of cafes and restaurants. Metro Line 7 is also 15 minutes away, and there are bus stops everywhere. Buildings here are not older than 20 years old, and most of them will have swimming pool inside, a gym, like a common area, a patio, a garden, small garden inside the residential building. So they're very sleek and modern comparing to the majority of buildings here in Valencia. What I like that most of them will have underground parking, and if not, it's much easier to park here on the streets than, for example, in the city center. Rent is expensive here. It starts with 1,700 euros for two-bedroom apartment. But when I was checking online the apartments and also apartments for purchase, I didn't see many options. I think people who live here, they try to stick to their apartments and not to move elsewhere because they're really nice and it's a really nice area. So rent will be between 1,800 even up to 2,500 and 3,000 euros for a 2-3 bedroom apartment. And if you want to purchase, it will start from 500,000 euros, and there are also apartments that cost million euros, and they have beautiful view on Art and Sciences complex. interesting fact about Penya-Roja is that only since 1960 they started to build constructions here, because before the river Turia was flooding this area. After they changed the river and transformed it into the park, this area became a luxurious piece of land. The first building that they constructed here was a church, and it's still here. I like how Spanish people take care of their cultural heritage. They didn't take it down, they just put a fence around it and preserved it as a part of history. Honestly, I don't have any cons to tell you about this area. Well, maybe just the price. But personally, among all the neighborhoods I showed you in this video, this one is my favorite and the most luxurious neighborhood here in Valencia. Let me know in the comments which neighborhood you like the most, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to leave thumbs up to this video, subscribe, and as always, I see you next week. Hasta pronto!